Who's the most capable classical guitarist of all time? What a small question to ask. But apparently this is what everyone really wants to know, so let's just roll with it. Obviously that question is not a good one to start with. Music is not sports, and it's all about preference and taste, and you shouldn't even try to approach it like this. And anyway, it's this guy. Not Bream, not Segovia, not Yepes. This is Kazuhito Yamashita, and honestly no one at the top of these Hall of Fame lists can match this man's raw potential. It's not even close, and fairly obvious too. Yamashita easily has one of the strongest claims to be classical guitar's Paganini. Our Franz Liszt, a dominant virtuoso that reshapes their instrument for generations. Yet, it seems he didn't fully get to be that yet, at least in the West. Especially in America, he is pretty much an enigma, at best a figure of controversy, and a lot of people actually know fairly little about him. So, who is he? What makes him relevant, and why the heck do we not listen to him a lot more? Before you head into the comments, let's examine the evidence. There is actually a lot to learn from Yamashita, even if you prefer other guitarists. I think there is somebody capable of matching his skills. Someone you probably weren't thinking of, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. The 70s. The classical guitar had carved its niche in Europe and North America. It was finally established in conservatories. Concerts were packed, there were prestigious festivals and celebrated competitions. The excellence of Japanese guitarists was not entirely unknown in the Western world. Still, no one was prepared for what was about to happen. In 1977, Kazuhito Yamashita took the European scene by storm. He was only 16 years old. He signed up for several of the most prestigious competitions that year. And this is still baffling to this day. He dominated them, securing the grand prize in all of them. In the eyes of every single jury, this teenager, without even a shred of institutional backing, bested an entire generation of established guitar players, many of whom learned from the world's most celebrated maestros. It was just the beginning. Yamashita's subsequent achievements etched his name permanently into guitar history. One of the most significant events was his transcription and performance of Modest Mussorgsky's pictures at an exhibition. To put it mildly, even the thought of adapting this dense, multi-layered piano suite to the solo guitar was considered just absolutely ridiculous. A little pop culture comparison? Imagine a celebrated, dense, multi-layered book series being adapted to a clearly inferior storytelling medium such as the movies. That would be just unthinkable, wouldn't it? The classical guitar world had its Peter Jackson moment in the early 80s. Let's just read one of the early reactions to Yamashita's release. Yamashita hasn't just learned how to play the guitar well. He seems to have taught the instrument how to do some things it's never had the smallest notion of doing before. He gives you the distinct impression that he has no holes, none at all, in his technique anywhere. I have never heard such speed, such control. Yamashita writes his own rules. It remains to be seen whether there's anybody else on the face of the earth who can follow them. Bold words. The 1980 recording and edition of the pictures was received with amazement, but also with utter disbelief and skepticism. Nobody could really explain what was happening. The music went far beyond what was considered possible on the instrument. We're going to base our analysis mostly on the famous live performance at the 1984 Toronto Guitar Festival. If you haven't yet, it's a must-watch. It's just an amateur tape, but the most recent digitization is clear enough to observe everything that's happening. Yamashita had been performing the suite in concerts already for 4 years at that point. But for many North Americans, this was the first time they saw him live. Anticipation was sky high. The guitar elite was in the audience, and everybody was there to find out if he was actually able to perform the impossible. Turns out he was. Compared to the well-known players at the time, Yamashita commanded complete technical superiority. There's no doubt about this. Nobody really contends that he was able to play faster, cleaner, and with a significantly higher mechanical efficiency. However, even the craziest technique is merely a tool for expression. and just playing fast and loud does not make you a mature musician. This is really important, and people who have Yamashita pegged as a mere technician are missing the point. He used his almost limitless manual abilities to perform not only never-before-heard virtuosic feats, but with these techniques he also pushed the latitude of musical expression on the guitar into completely uncharted territory. He had unprecedented dynamic contrasts, the most diverse tone colors and eclectic phrasing, combined with extreme drive, intense theatrics, and a seemingly endless stamina. It's really the fullest range there, from the smallest sensitivity to the most violent outbursts. And somewhere in between all of that, he's also able to just groove. In a traditional educational setting, musicians first acquire a predetermined set of musical tools and solutions, and then set out to find, compose, or transcribe pieces that fit these requirements. Yamashita, however, went full on mind over matter and reversed the usual transcription process. He set out from the source material and developed entirely novel skills and techniques to create a true one-man orchestra version of the original. Yamashita had more potential in his pinky finger than some other players in their entire hand. This is not even a metaphor, literally. Let's have a look at some of these phenomenal techniques in detail. The first thing you notice when watching Yamashita play is his complete freedom and fluidity in all parameters, technical and musical. His entire body, every angle and lever, can shift in fractions of a second. This is at least partially inspired by the fluid transitions of classical Japanese no theater. When he's playing, Yamashita's nearly always in this transitory mode. His finger independence and coordination are basically perfect. He can use any combination of digits, always perfectly synchronized at any speed. The idea behind this is simple in principle, but very difficult in execution. By using additional fingers in, for example, a scale, the individual fingers can move slower, but it's exponentially more effort to coordinate. Of course, Yamashita is by no means the first or only player to notice this. What makes his approach truly outstanding is him freely combining these advanced concepts all of the time. Playing a 16th scale at 140 BPM is impressive. Playing two scales at that speed concurrently, one of them spaced in octaves, that's madness. Yamashita pulls it off seemingly with ease. Ever heard someone mimic an entire balalaika ensemble on one guitar? A trill in first position shifted into a chord in 10th position and back so fast you don't even notice the interruption. A well-maintained melodic line walking straight through violent rasgueados. The Dio tremolo is the rapid alternating of one finger on one string, a technique perfected by flamenco masters, and it's quite challenging to stay fast and even. Yamashita's Dio tremolo would be pretty praiseworthy on its own. His transcription, however, requires it to be done concurrently with 3-part harmonies and artificial harmonics. So when needed, he switches from index finger Dio to pinky finger Dio on the fly, without interrupting the line while maintaining full control over the additional voices. If it wouldn't be enough, on top of that, throughout the entire 33-minute performance, he continuously and actively monitors the tuning and intonation. He's flawlessly adjusting even minute deviations on the fly and even changing notes within fractions of a second between movements. Every technical solution is tailored 100% to an expressive intent or orchestration idea. He knows and understands the source material intimately. No two sections are approached the same, and he does not compromise. His transcriptions are incredibly meticulous. They're written with highly detailed performance instructions, which is kind of funny because for almost anybody else they're basically unplayable. In the sheet music, he even often delineates the exact position and angle of the right-hand string attack to achieve a particular tone color. When there are two notes to be played in that register at the same time, he will adjust the shape of his right hand to maintain absolute tonal consistency. This attention to detail is immense, and let's not forget he wrote this as a teenager at the start of his career. No matter how long this video will end up being, it will fail miserably at conveying the entire range of Yamashita's output. At the moment, he is somewhere around 100 published recordings. Among classical musicians, that makes him one of the more prolific performers, no matter the instrument. And he's still going strong at 63 years old, so we can assume quite a bit more to come. Things permeate slowly in the guitar world, and reading through correspondence from the time, most guitarists initially were just overwhelmed by Yamashita's appearance. Some immediately feared their own career was getting evaporated by this new and foreign phenomenon. He tore down so many limits at once that people didn't really know how to deal with it. After the dust settled, many guitarists, especially in North America but also in Europe, started to refute the newcomer. Critiques emerged that were as much about personal taste as about genuine stylistic differences. Unfortunately, not all responses were well-intended or fair. Don't understand me wrong, I don't subscribe to every single stylistic decision that Yamashita has made, but that's really not the point. Even listening to a few minutes of his vastly diverse and inventive playing makes it perfectly evident to me that the common criticism of him being just shallow, flashy technique without musicality is simply unfounded. Less is only more if you know what more is. For many artists, a crucial impulse is to explore the edges of the playing ground. Only then you'll be able to meaningfully set boundaries. In the 40 years since Toronto, only a few other players besides Yamashita have performed the pictures. These interpretations are highly impressive in their own right. Even just being able to get through the material at all requires exceptional skill. Yet to this day, none of these attempts were able to reach the energy and expressive latitude of Yamashita's version. A guitarist that could keep up with that would be the needle in a haystack. You would need to find someone with similar mental fortitude and physical skill from a similar nurturing environment with the perfect blend of discipline and freedom. There actually is one. Less and less people are aware of this nowadays, but there exists a guitarist who not only shares Yamashita's upbringing, but also his extraordinary musical talent. It's his sister, Naoko Yamashita. Most of the recordings I have of her are duos with her brother, and listening to these it is immediately evident that they are pretty much evenly matched. She's not playing the second fiddle here. Unfortunately, sourcing her only solo album was not possible in time for this video, but I discovered an exhilarating performance of Tarekas Granjota on this 1982 duo album. Naoko's playing is just as virtuosic, limitless, dynamic and vibrant as her brother's. Regrettably, she retired from performing in 1992, a decision attributed to her marriage. In the late 80s, Kazuhito Yamashita began to shift his focus away from performing these groundbreaking but divisive mega transcriptions and focused on new challenges. With his ability to absorb vast amounts of literature in a short time, he just kept releasing album after album. Many stylistic choices he made in conventional repertoire were received as controversial, and he kept being criticized as being simply too much to bear. I'd recommend to just listen yourself instead of relying on me or anybody else. Probably his most easily agreeable recordings are the chamber music ones. There are several that are just beautiful with flute legend James Galway, and his Boccherini guitar quintets with the Tokyo String Quartet are simply brilliant ensemble playing. Yamashita also plays an important role in expanding the repertoire by commissioning and performing heaps of music by East Asian composers. A bunch of it, by the way, works by his wife Keiko Fuji. The talent keeps running in the next generation, and Yamashita's daughter Kanai keeps doing absolutely stellar things from her base here in Germany. And just recently she was featured in the Gendai guitar magazine in Japan, where among lots of other things she talks about how learning music was never really a strictly formalized process in the Yamashita household. When we're talking about Yamashita not being recognized as much as you would expect, this is of course only really true for the Western Hemisphere. The Yamashita family continues to be massively important in Japan, and they're surely one of the reasons why guitar is doing so well over there. What can we actually learn from this overpowering musician? Obviously, trying to simply emulate Yamashita's playing style is doomed to fail spectacularly. It'd be like telling someone that the best way to learn soccer is to just play like Messi. As far-fetched as it might seem, there are still lessons we can extract from musicians of Yamashita's caliber. These are not insights entirely unique to him, but he serves as a great case study. First, Beyond stability, there is control, and beyond control, there is freedom. What do I mean by this? Mainstream pedagogy is somewhat aware of this, but it's applied only selectively, such as with initially planting and preparing arpeggios. Later on, students are told to let go to improve speed and sound. This logic can be applied to basically any technique. Once you've gained control, you don't need to stop there. Deliberately releasing control or redirecting it to a higher lever can open up entirely new possibilities. This leads straight to the second insight. Technical orthodoxy masks inadequate teaching. If I were to stop the performance video, at almost any point we would see something where Yamashita is blatantly violating the textbook approach. To criticize him based on that is of course laughable. His solutions obviously work for him. Insisting on a certain technique or posture just for the sake of it, when an individual unorthodox solution works better, is not helpful and often even destructive. More than any other instrument, playing the guitar is influenced by individual physiology, from the nail shape all the way to specific body proportions. The difficulty lies in accurately understanding which approach will work best in a particular situation. But more often than not, players and teachers will be able to work towards an optimal solution if they're encouraged to experiment. Like with his own children, a lot of Yamashita's guitar education was through indirect osmosis in his father's chamber music ensembles, rather than by having explicit one-on-one lessons. Both this and the general distance from the Western institutional approach led to him heavily relying on finding his own unique way, by working from the music towards the technique rather than from technique to the music. This is fundamentally difficult, but it is the definitive way to gain confident and independent musicianship in any genre, to be honest. Consistently, the greatest results arise from this mindset. Even at the most basic level, we should strive first to have a musical intention in our mind, and then make our body and the instrument approximate it as best as we can. Practice precedes theory. Theory is descriptive, not prescriptive. Kazuhito Yamashita is the living proof for this. Tone bass will not prescribe a one-size-fits-all solution to your guitar playing. Instead, it offers you a rich and diverse repository of masterclasses, live streams, workbooks, and sheet music, as well as a community of fellow guitarists, all to enable you to choose your own musical adventure. Follow the link in the description to learn more. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts and experiences with Yamashita are. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. Cheers! See you next time.